Live from the Rant Radio Network, you're listening to Real Estate Rant with your host, Alex Alanis,
and your co-host, Mr. Alonso Rodriguez.
no problems, just solutions for real estate needs, hot topics, and controversial chat. And we are back here at the Real Estate Rant, here at the towers of the Rant Radio Network. I'm your host, Mr. Alex Alanis, and to my left here, my new co-host, Lisa Lombardi. How are you, Lisa?
I'm doing great.
All
doing
right.
great today.
All right. Sorry, we ran a little bit late today. Got stuck in traffic. I do apologize. Give us a call, 855-693-4897, or you can email us at realestaterantradio@gmail.com. In-house today, we have Mr. Very well esteemed, might I say, Mr. Luis Alcala. And did I say that correctly?
That's it.
Okay. He's from Century 21 Realty Masters. He is the operations manager there with the agents and for the agents and by the agents, might I say.
Yep.
And also joining us in studio today, Mr. Ralph Garcia. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. How you doing, Alex?
Good.
And Lisa.
Finally made it to the microphone, huh?
Exactly.
All right, right.
Right.
Well, feel free to chime in anytime. Just try not to interrupt if you wouldn't mind.
Which I always do.
Pretty tough. My engineer, I notice, is on the phone, so we can't go to the design deal, but I will tease him in a second. Again, give us a call, 855-693-4897, or again, you can email us at realestaterantradio@gmail.com. You can win a $25 gift card to Stevens Steakhouse, located in the City of Commerce. Compliments of Carlos Cruz, and now the Pico Rivera Chamber of Commerce, because he moved from Downey. He used to be in Downey. Before that, Bell Gardens, right? So that was what was going on there. And or you can, if you happen to call in, ask myself, Lisa, Ralph, or Louis a question. You can win a $200 gift card to Gardens Dental, and that's for teeth whitening. Do you need teeth whitening,
No,
Lisa?
I don't think so. What do you think?
No, you don't need
No.
teeth whitening. But you probably had it already.
That's
on.
right.
They're located at 7218 Garfield Avenue in the City of Bell Gardens. And there's also a $25 gift card from Solar City. Wallace Gonzalez offered that a few weeks ago. He was on the show.
Mm-hmm.
He gave us a $25 gift card to Lazy Dog. I always want to say Lazy Boy.
No, it's Lazy Dog.
Lazy Dog. Okay.
In Cerritos.
I've never been. Have you ever been to Lazy Dog?
Never.
No. Okay.
Never.
I've been there. It's
know.
great. It's good.
It is. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
There's one in Brea too, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Maybe,
just
yeah,
past
yeah.
57.
Yeah.
Imperial
That's
and
right.
57.
That's right. And if we can, Mr. Pantalones, can we put the design deal up? You got a moment for that? If you happen to pick this particular design, although that is the layout, but we were going to show that on the second segment, but we can do it now. If you happen to get this particular design, you can win that $25 gift card to Lazy Dog, to Stevens Steakhouse, or a $200 gift card for that teeth whitening. Right on. So, all right. So, Lisa, you had actually sent me an email here, and I, you know what? I think I left it in the car. That was the news. Was it J.P. Morgan Chase?
Yes.
Can you share that with us today?
Yeah, definitely. I'll share a little bit with you. I didn't know if you wanted me to read the whole thing, but I kind of wanted to put a little nut here in the shell here, make it kind of easy for everybody. But I'm going to talk about Demian. He said that at the end of the second quarter that we saw encouraging signs across our business, including an uptick in the wholesale utilization, strengthening pipelines in the commercial and business banking segments, and some improvements in the market activity, he said. And he says, why it's too early to assume that this momentum will continue, we have confidence in the long-term growth of the economy.
So what does that mean?
Well, basically, with JP, Chase here is, because we dipped a little bit, 8% of the year. It says that we dipped it says 8% of the year as the bank continues to work with the diminishing of the mortgage market. So basically what he was saying is that the earnings report was released like last Tuesday, and it wasn't showing that good, but he says overall we feel that there'll be a good growth in the economy.
Now, Lewis and I, we share certain sentiments about the industry and what have you. I have my take on what I call propaganda, right? But Lewis, what would be your take on what Lisa just read?
Well, that supposedly it sounds like it's going to get better. Fortunately, I think it will myself. So I'm hoping the same thing. The only thing we need is a little more inventory, for God's sakes. That's the one bad thing we haven't had for a long time. enough inventory.
Well, one thing I have heard is that the construction companies are starting up again.
Yeah.
And that's good news for all of us here in the real estate world. But the reason why I call it propaganda is because there's really no way to verify that information. You know, I think it tries to help consumer confidence. I will say that. But I take it with a grain of salt. What do you what do you think, Lisa?
No, absolutely. I mean, just talking people out there, it's it's kind of weird. I mean, it's almost like a teeter. You just prices are up, then it's low. There's some on the market. It's absolutely. I totally agree with you. It's kind of hard to say right now.
Right on. Typically at this part of the show, we usually do questions and answers. If you happen to email us at realestaterantradio@gmail.com, we try to get to your questions and air them on the show. But unfortunately, Alonso couldn't make it today. He's the one that actually takes care of that part of it. So we'll jump right into our guest, Mr. Luis Acala from Century 21 Realty Masters. He is the operations manager and trainer at that particular office. And we had the opportunity of meeting at one of the NAREP events. Also, actually, it was Manny's event, actually,
right.
with the La Costa Escrow. And I had asked the question, just to kind of go back a little bit, as to what a CO was, and this was to a room of filled real estate agents. It was filled with real estate agents. We all finished our lunch and drinking our waters and what have you. And I asked what a CO is, and Luis was the only one that raised his hand, right? And of
course he did.
Obviously, he knows the acronyms as I do, and I feel that anyone that knows the acronyms knows what they're doing, as to what forms to use, right? Do you remember that when that happened?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And so Luis and I began to speak a little bit about our sentiment now about the real estate industry, and also about contract writing and what problems are involved. And then at that point I realized that Luis was a little bit more involved in that, and so maybe you can kind of give us a little bit of background, Luis, about yourself, as to how you got into that whole arena, if you will.
Well, first of all, I'm in the business now, going on my 38th year in October. Okay.
Can I get you guys to squeeze in just a bit?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then pull the mic up to
Okay.
there you go.
All right,
Thank you, sir.
no
Just
problem.
so I can get you on camera there.
No problem.
Nice picture.
Okay. It was about 38 years ago when I got my license. I worked as a sales agent pretty close to 7 years of those 38. And I've been managing and educating the agents. I went to Cal State Fullerton before I got into real estate. And then I was going to law school. After my first year in law school, I took the exam. I passed it after my third time. It took me three times.
Are you talking about the bar exam?
No.
Oh, the real estate.
The real estate.
Okay, right on.
The real estate. So when I got my license, I really started doing very well. And my first year in real estate, I sold in 1977 close to $90,000. So it was about $88,000, something like that.
And that was a lot of money.
That's about
wow.
Probably over $1 million bucks today.
Wow. Okay.
And I called the DA of LA just to find out what I would get if I was to be an attorney, a brand new attorney going to work for the DA after I would pass the bar. And I found out that was about 16 or 18,000. So it was crazy. So I decided, you know what, real estate was for me, and that's where I stayed.
Right on. So you made the move into real estate from law.
Mm-hmm.
It was just based on just the financial part
That's
of it.
100% financial.
And so now that you're a real estate agent, did you go right into training? Or,
No.
Or,
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. No, for the 7 years I was a salesperson. I did help my broker because we felt that we had a duty to our brokers at that time, and I started bringing real estate agents. And when I brought real estate agents over, I started saying, well, you know what, I can help them out and do whatever. I'll show them what I'm doing, but I never was a manager until probably 31 years ago, when Bruce Mulhern asked me to manage an office. That was my first office that I ever had managed. And after 2 months, I quit on him. Okay. But for those of us who know Bruce Mulhern, he's got a silver tongue, and he convinced me to stay on. And I made a decision not to sell real estate anymore at that point, and not to become the competition of the agents, but to become the one, like Bruce told me, to become a star builder instead of the star.
Nice.
So-
Now, just kind of in terms of current events, Bruce Mulhern used to be Mulhern Realty.
That's right.
And then they turned into Prudential.
That's
Is that
right.
correct?
And then
but
now
now,
they're
now they're
Berkshire.
Berkshire,
Yeah.
right? Berkshire
Yeah.
Hathaway.
Yeah.
So then what became your passion at that point?
Well, when I became a manager, my thought process was that if I was going to become the manager, I wanted to be one of the best managers around. I wanted the people to be educated for everyone to stay out of trouble. And I started educating myself, and as I went along educating myself, I ended up starting to train everybody, and I probably have more trainings than most offices alone,
Nice.
just by myself.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, just real quick, Ralph is joining us today here in the studio, and actually, Ralph is training with me. He's shadowing me with a lot of things. So, when you talk about bringing in agents, to the audience, it's not just like picking them up like luggage and bringing them over. These are folks that are looking for that information, and you kind of get a connection with them, so to speak, in terms of, right, Lisa? I mean, you kind of get a connection with them now going in as a title rep as well. But Ralph is beginning to delve into the real estate industry, right?
Like this, right?
Yeah. Well, exactly. So Ralph, what in part of what Louis just said right now, what are your thoughts?
Well, the thing is, the terminology of it comes in handy when you hang out with some people like Alex or Louis. I mean, the experience is there, and it brings me back when I first started doing real estate 6-7 years ago, and then I left that a while back. But it's that experience that you guys have. I mean, it's unbelievable what you guys know, and I appreciate what Alex is doing with me. And Louis, it's amazing that you've been on the business for so long. Thanks a lot.
All right, we're coming up on a break. Please don't touch that mouse. We'll be right back.
All right.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with some more Real Estate Rant.
Real Estate Rant and AGR Realtors are proud supporters of Michael Aguilar and Associates, advocates for stroke awareness and integrative healthcare.
In February 2012, I suffered a stroke due to high blood pressure. I was rushed to the hospital where I was admitted for the next 30 days. I was initially told I may have to stay in the hospital for about 3 months, but I made rapid improvements in my recuperation and continued to improve to this day.
When Michael left the hospital, he did not have insurance to cover his rehabilitation, so he focused on integrative healthcare to get better. At the end of 2013, seeing a need for stroke awareness, Michael started his own company, Michael Aguilar and Associates, to focus on creating awareness about the dangers of high blood pressure and stroke.
If you would like more information, please call me at 562-464-7297, or you can visit my website at www.strokeawareness101.com.
Michael Aguilar and Associates, creating awareness and saving lives one person at a time.
Live from the Rant Radio Network,
You're listening to Real Estate Rant with your host, Alex Alanis.
and your co-host, Mr. Alonso Rodriguez.
No problems, just solutions for real estate needs, hot topics, and controversial chat. All right, and we are back here at the Real Estate Rant, here at the towers of the Rant Radio Network. I'm your host, Alex, Lisa, and in the studio we have Ralph and Luis Alcala from Century 21 Realty Masters. They're in Montebello, isn't it?
Right. We have 3 offices.
Right on. And just real quick, let's do the design deal again. You can win a $25 gift card to Steven's Steakhouse. Also to Lazy Boy Restaurant. Let's see if we can get the other one
Lazy
up there.
dog.
See, I did it again,
dog.
didn't I?
I know.
Yeah, see, I'm always saying that. Can we do the design deal, Mr. Pantalones? Would you mind? There we go. I remember seeing a house like this in one of the first, what was this, the Sylvester Stallone movies, the First Blood movies. I think it was the second one when they were in Taiwan. Any idea, without saying it out loud, any idea what kind of house that is? It is a multiple choice.
Louis, do you know which one that is?
No.
I think it's A.
You're not supposed to say anything.
You almost did, right? Give us a call. Yeah. Give us a call, 855-693-4897. The number is up on the screen if you happen to be watching.
I'll be back.
Exactly. So we will get back to our guest, Mr. Lewis.
I thought my jokes were bad.
Lewis, obviously you train new agents and they're coming in and they just got their license. When a new agent does come in, I mean, can you see when your next rock star is going to be coming in? Can you see the ones that you feel like, that have the passion and the drive to really do what realtors do? Because a lot of people.
What would you like to know?
Well, because I think that sometimes, people come in and, like even my friends and family and think that, real estate is so easy, and they don't realize that it's definitely not just a 9-to-5 job. It's 24/7. And I don't think the consumer realizes what realtors do behind the scenes. And I think people that are getting their license, sometimes they see the glamour, but they don't see what's really in front of them and what they have to do on a day in, day out.
Yeah. Actually, the majority of agents think that real estate is easy. They think, oh, I got my license. Okay, where's the money? I want the money now. And they don't understand all the things that have to be done in order to get the money. It's like when people from Mexico come. Yeah, I'm from Mexico, by the way. I was born there. Everybody used to say, let's go to the United States where we can sweep the money from the streets. That is what the real estate agents come in thinking, that that's what's going to happen because real estate's so easy. But it's probably one of the hardest industries to work in, because as much as you may not think you have a boss, if you are going to be successful, you have to be your worst boss. You're going to have to be working hours that are unheard of sometimes. It's just a matter of what happens in the industry, and what if we really want to be successful, we have to be willing to pay a big, big price.
Yeah, right until they get that lawsuit slapped on their desk, right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Lewis, you guys have a mission statement.
Yes.
Can you share that with us?
Yeah, my mission statement has always been, and it's the same mission statement I've always carried around from place to place. My mission statement is that I want to be able to create the most educated and strongest agents in the industry, in order for them to be able to be always on top of whoever else is trying to work with them.
Yes, and we do appreciate you sharing that with us today, mainly because that's kind of our purpose of the show, of even doing the show is we call it to ensure the public trust. But how do we do that? We have to educate. We have to work at it, because kind of like what Lisa was saying. I used to get agents up when I was at Uptown Realtors, she put a sign out in front of the building and it said, now hiring. So folks would come into the office and sit at the other end of the desk and say, when do I start? And I used to tell them, hey, this is a job. This is not something that you come in and do for 2 or 3 hours and you get here's the key to your Mercedes and a nice house and a trophy wife. What I mean? It doesn't work like that, because a lot of these folks, I would bring them in, and what would happen was they would sit at a cubicle for a couple, 3 hours.
I would love to taste you.
Yeah, exactly. They would sit at a cubicle for a couple, 3 hours, go have a 2-hour martini lunch, come back, shoot out a few emails, and then go home.
So what's new in the industry?
Well, exactly.
It's all the same.
They would kind of laugh at me. Well, Alex, how come you didn't leave the office till 10 o'clock last night? Because I had work to do. I had stuff I had to do. I mean, I don't have stuff in the pipeline because I'm sitting there doing a few emails and going out to lunch, right? So I agree with the sentiment, and this is why I wanted to bring you on the show, because you and I share that sentiment. In terms of, not only is it important for us as individual agents to have that knowledge and wisdom, but it's important now for the clients. And that's where it really counts. Yeah. Right? I mean, would you agree with that?
No, absolutely. The client, if the client isn't educated by the agent, many things can happen during the process and even after the process. That's the one thing that most agents don't understand, because covering yourself means covering your client, covering your broker, covering everybody. And unfortunately, some agents don't even think about the cracks that they're leaving behind open for something to happen.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, even during a transaction, when some of the folks come to me it's about damage control at that point. You know,
Absolutely.
and Lisa, you probably find a little bit of that in title too, right? You probably get these agents at the very last minute when everything rush.
Oh, absolutely. And, that's why it's so important that, agents are educated and they do have a good support system and great leadership because sometimes I don't think agents realize how important it is to be at a right office or having that right leadership because a lot of agents don't seem to know exactly what they're doing, but they need to surround themselves around, the right realtors or the right broker, right management, and also educating because the boards do have a lot of education, or they can go to different seminars or different organizations to get educated because it's so important because I feel like, I've been in the business for a long time as well too. And I never stop learning. It's definitely, you're learning all the time.
Now there's a certain level of folks that listen to the show, and I wanted to differentiate the difference between going out and get your real estate license and the kind of training that we're talking about. Can you separate those two things for us, Liz?
Absolutely. The license, getting the license, honestly, is really just a joke. I'm sorry. That's the difference.
Are you saying that the state is a joke?
Excuse me?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I'm going to tell you, for real estate agents, the exam has nothing to do with selling real estate, nothing to do with the contracts, nothing to do with anything as far as what they need. So, unfortunately, what they're being taught, they're 80 to 85% of it, they're never going to use.
Well, I remember one of the words that we had to learn when I took my appraisal license was synergism, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen that word again other than in the testing, and or the use of it. Now, I can use it when I train because we synergistically look at markets, but for the most part, who understands that?
Yeah.
Nobody. So
No.
understanding what you're saying, but come on, Luis, really. Totally and completely worthless.
I will tell you, it's 85% worthless.
85%.
As far as I'm concerned, it is, because if someone is going to get a real estate license to be a realtor, by the time, and especially now that they're even allowing you to get your license the moment you walk out, that you've already taken the test and passed, and they say, great, here's your real estate license.
Yeah.
How can that person sit down and show a client what to do, how to do it, explain everything to them? How can that person write an offer if they weren't taught how to do that?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
That's a great point.
Now
Absolutely.
that's
I
the
agree with that,
ridiculous
yes.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think now, although on that level, the consumer now can be tricked because, what I always see on a lot of the listings, expert short sale person and, this and that and certified this and that, but you look at their license number and it starts with 019.
Yeah.
I mean, you pretty much know that they're a new agent.
Yeah.
They have the backing of the broker now. The concept of the broker now, really these folks being under the agent, under the broker, the agents being under the broker. Isn't that the protection mechanism now?
Well, unfortunately, if the broker is a working broker, in other words, a broker that's out there selling, listing, they have their own problems. And the majority of them are going to let a lot of things go through the cracks, okay? And very few of them are really supervising their agents. So in the situation of having a company that has a manager, they're probably better off, as long as that manager also is not competing with them.
So I'm assuming here this is why you brought a stack of papers here to the show, because you're actually looking at the transactions and you're making sure that the broker's not getting into problems.
Absolutely. My job is to keep Arnulfo out of problems. Okay, that's exactly my job. Okay,
Right.
and I do it to the best of my ability.
So, Louis, do you think, agents, sometimes have to act like attorneys, even though they're not attorneys? Those contracts are pretty detailed. They can get themselves in lawsuits. They have to be very educated.
Yeah. After going to law school for a year and a half, my first year, I took contracts. I hated that class with a passion. I couldn't stand it because I thought it was the most boring class I would ever take. and here I am working on contracts like a
Contracts.
maniac.
Yeah.
But I had to pass the class, which meant I learned what I should have done. But the problem here is that in most cases, sometimes even the brokers may not be as up to what they should be on the contracts, and that becomes the big issue.
So, like, let's say, like you're saying, like some brokers are not really that updated. I mean, where does someone like a broker or a manager to really, it's just learning or, being in the trenches or.
As far as the contracts are concerned, CAR does a good job of teaching. Okay, although their teaching classes are limited. Okay, what I do is I break everything down. When I teach a contracts, I break it down line by line, which means that the agent is going to leave there with more information that they even thought, and probably more information than they could understand. But that's why I tell them you have to continually come. It's like anything else, repetition, repetition, repetition. That's
It's
all
practice.
it is.
Absolutely.
Practice.
That's all it is.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. There was a form in appraisal. You may remember this. I'm sorry, we are coming up on a break. Time to pay the bills.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with some more real estate rant. Live from the Rant Radio Network,
You're listening to Real Estate Rant with your host, Alex Alanis.
and your co-host, Mr. Alonso Rodriguez.
No problems, just solutions for real estate needs, hot topics, and controversial chat. And we are back here at the Real Estate Rant. I'm your host, Alex Alanis, and to my left here, Miss Lisa Lombardi. In studio today, we have Mr. Ralph Garcia, and Ralph is currently trying to learn to do real estate and is doing well at it. Actually, he was able to take a listing the other day, as a matter of fact.
Woohoo.
We're working on it.
With my help, with my help, of course. and in studio today, we have Mr. Luis Alcala from Century 21 Realty Masters here in Montebello. Do we have his information handy, Mr.
I never seen
Pantalones? I do apologize. Give us a call, 855-693-4897. You can give myself a call, Lisa, Ralph, or Luis. Information's a little small there, but you can reach Lewis there at 626. Oh, there we go. Thank you, sir. 676-3805. That's his business card, and I'm sure you don't mind me putting that up there. Okay,
not at all.
right on. You can also reach Lewis at lfa1949@yahoo.com. If you have any questions for Lewis, Lewis is a trainer, and actually in the next couple of segments, you'll be more impressed with Lewis as we get along, because as I was interviewing Lewis, I didn't realize the stature of the man that I was sitting in front of, right? In the previous segment, I was talking about, because you were talking about some of the forums, and you know how I learned the forums was just by reading them, right? I used to train appraisers,
Okay.
and one of the forums, and you may remember this forum that we used to use on the back of the appraisal is called the 439.
Mm-hmm.
And the 439 was a single page, and it pretty much said what the appraiser was doing and what they were supposed to do. And a lot of times I would ask appraisers that would come on board with me, and they were licensed, some of them certified. They would ask me about, hey, Alex, you know what? You do pretty good appraisals here. How'd you learn how to do that? I said, well, have you read the 439? Because it's a single page.
Mm-hmm.
And they would tell me, what's that? Right? I mean, that's kind of nuts when you think about a licensed certified appraiser that's been appraising for years, most of them, and they don't even know what the 439 is. The 439 is really a single page of what you're supposed to do. It's just one single page. Well, I see that as being the contracts and a lot of things that we see on a regular basis. The AD, the RPA, the WPA, the CBC, the SSA. These are all forms that we use on a daily basis. And really, I really only mentioned about 5 or 6 of them right now. But if you ask most agents, they couldn't tell you what's even on them. And that's sad, because some of them are only 1 or 2 pages.
Yeah.
And what kind of reading are we talking about here? I mean, Lewis, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was giving a class yesterday, and it happened to be about the forms, and I was giving everybody the names of the forms, which CAR gives you right here. I mean, there's so much stuff that you can pull out of CAR and the legal part of it and everything. So, but definitely every agent, and I tell everybody, take the contract home at night and read it.
Simple.
I said, I'll guarantee you'll fall asleep. and everybody does. I'll tell you, everybody does.
I know I did.
Yeah. So, but the point is that if you learn it, okay, you will be the strongest agent. Okay, and that's what they have to understand. But yes, it's difficult learning. It really is.
Well, there was something we spoke about the other day, and this was about translation and how some particular individuals don't understand the forms, and it really becomes the job of the realtor now to explain these things.
Well, not to explain them.
Oh, okay, not to explain them. Okay.
Not to explain them. See, what, and especially in the Latino market, and I know it, and I know the Chinese market and everything else, you have all kinds of different languages going around.
You speak Chinese too, Luis?
No.
Oh, okay.
I wish I did. I wish I did. I'd be a lot richer.
All right.
But at the end of the day, what we have to understand is that if they don't speak English, okay, and CAR created a form already, the ITA, which is the Interpreter Translator Addendum, that form is sitting there, and I'll guarantee you it's not being used probably 1%. And that form is the savior of the agent, because if they translate for anybody that doesn't speak English, the biggest problem that's going to happen is they can't prove they did it.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at in terms of being able to tell them, hey, just sign this form, right? Versus, Your Honor, I didn't understand what was happening. Well, isn't this your signature? So, well, nobody really explained it to me. But you're saying that that's really the wrong terminology. That I shouldn't say that we're explaining it to them. How should we refer to that?
They should be bringing someone to explain it to them. It has to be someone over the age of 18, speaks, reads, and writes both languages, the English and the language, whichever one they're speaking. And that's the person that should be doing the translating, filling out the translator form, stipulating that they are the translators. Okay. But what happens when we do it, or even if we bring a translator, it does no good, because we're doing it for the money. The agents are doing it for the money. So therefore, when you get to a court, the judge is looking down at you and saying, can you prove what you just told me? And what are most agents going to say? No, I can't.
Yeah, one of the things that I avidly say, and Ralph may remember this, is that it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And so this is why it's important that we do things in writing. This is important that we have witnesses. This is important we have emails and communications and all this stuff. And I can't reiterate that enough to the people that I train, the importance of having that information. Now, something very interesting about what you did in the past, Luis. You used to work with the California Association of Realtors.
Yes. Yeah, I was a director for 11 years. I still keep going. I go every year to the 3 meetings because I want to keep my information at the top level.
Nice.
So
I do have a phone call. So if I can just hold that
Sure.
question for just 1 second, give me 1 second. Thank you for calling the Real Estate Rant. This is Alex.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, is this Alonso?
It's Alonso. How you guys doing today?
Hey, Alonso.
Hey, Mr. Alonso, how are you, sir? What's happening?
Hey, I got tied up in court. I wasn't able to make it. I really, really wanted to. Talk to the guest on there.
Do you have a question for Luis?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to. I was curious to know that if he does any trainings other than his office. Do you go out and do you train in other facilities?
Well, the only place I've been training besides my office right now is at the Downey Board.
And what do you charge for that, Luis?
Well, actually,
If you don't mind me asking, of course.
well, I don't know if I should tell him, because that was something that we arranged with them. But
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay.
I mean, no problem.
Okay.
Mr. Alonso, so did you have another question for Luis?
Yeah, I guess the connection's a little shabby. I think I'm gonna have to call back later. But it was a pleasure giving you guys a call, and I just wanted to show my presence. I just got tied up, and I'll be there next week. So have a good show.
All right.
Continue the good work, guys.
All right, Mr. Alonso. Hope you had good luck in court today.
And Alonso, I'm keeping your seat warm here.
Did you hear that?
Oh, he
hung
laughed.
up, yeah. So anyway, we were talking about that you used to work with the California Association of Realtors.
yeah, and I became a director. It came from all the mergers that were coming along with the MLSs, and not just the MLSs, but with the boards. And I became a state director with the Norwalk La Mirada board, and then they were merging with the the Whittier board, and we merged, and I was going to be the president-elect, and then they became the Pacific West, and I mean, it was just a big mess. So
Is that when the listing books used to be like this thick?
oh
Is
yeah,
it-
yeah, exactly.
Do you remember those, Lisa?
Well, I'll tell you, I go
Oh,
back
yeah.
a little further. I used to have tear sheets in a little binder. How's that?
Oh, nice.
That was, yeah. But anyway, when I was as a state director, I belonged to the forms committee, which was really suited for me. I could tell you that was the one thing I really liked doing. But when I was a representative for the forms committee, one of the people that were the director there from Pacific West had asked me if I would give her a couple of forms that I had, which happened to be my own SPQ and my own age and visual inspection. The SPQ, the seller property questionnaire, I had a 13-page seller property questionnaire.
And currently it's 4 pages. Right?
Yeah, and I had a 9-page age and visual inspection, and I still have it in my my external hard drive. My agents used to hate me, but they had to fill it out.
Which is currently 3 pages.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I gave them to her, and she showed them to the committee, and the committee, I started working on changing and putting their own SPQ and their own AVID into it. So yeah.
Nice. So so your experience now at CAR was that they took your information and just took it into advisement, or
Well, they took it and probably not just took it into advisement, but they changed things around in order to make sure. See, the biggest problem, especially with the ABID, is that we only have about 4 or 5 lines where you could put information on page 3 of the transfer disclosure. Okay, and the problem with that is that the agents aren't allowed enough space to be able to show everything that they really can find on the property. And I know that a lot of agents don't even understand what they should be putting, because they usually want to put that they have brand new granite floors, they have beautiful cabinets,
That's
what
the
have
cliche
you.
of the agents,
Everything,
huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of finding what's wrong with the property, they're putting what's good with the property. And even with properties that investors have done, I've taken 20, 30 agents to go see them, and I usually find things that are wrong with the property. So.
And let me ask you a question on that. There was I actually saw an Avid come over the other day from a broker, and it said all the nice things about the property, and I was like, wait a second, this is not what the Avid is for. Have you ever sent it back and said this is incorrect?
When they're empty.
Oh, when they're empty, okay.
If they put something down, if they're wrong, that's their problem.
I see. Okay.
Because
so
you can't force them to change it.
you don't police the industry.
No, I can't. But if it's empty, they do have to put something there, even if it's nothing noted all the way through. That's okay.
So was there something that caused you to go to CAR and make these recommendations?
Yeah, you know what? I had seen so many problems come by with all the stuff that people weren't able to do, the forms that they're not being able to fill out and sign and do things correctly. As a matter of fact, I was seeing other brokers, because I had one litigation when I had my company before. I had one litigation. It was a big one, and I knew I was going to lose it because the agent didn't fill out the AVID, didn't fill out even the section on page 3 of the TDS. So at the end of the day, I already knew I was dead. Yeah.
All right, we're coming up on a break. Please don't touch that mouse.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with some more real estate rant.
Looking for a delicious, fresh family meal that's ready when you are and easy on your budget? Welcome to Piara Pizza. We make our pizzas with handmade dough, 100% real cheese, and tomato sauce blended with our own spices. Nothing is ever frozen. We always have large pepperoni and cheese pizzas fresh and waiting for you for only $5. Or choose one of our specialty pizzas. We have veggie, meat lovers, supreme, and Hawaiian. Add an order of our amazing hot wings, cheesy bread, or breadsticks. Our locations are ultra modern, ultra clean, and open 7 days a week. Visit any one of our locations today, or check us out on the web at www.piarapizza.com. Piara Pizza. Fresh, hot, and ready for you when you come in. Stop in for your Piara Pizza today.
ProTech Carpet Tile and Care provides professional cleaning services for carpet, tile, grout, upholstery, and fine area rugs.
ProTech technicians are professionally trained and certified cleaning and restoration experts.
We specialize in restoring damage caused by heavy soil and odor.
We can remove challenging spots such as coffee, tea, ink, gum, wine, and many more.
We have saved our customers thousands of dollars on new flooring and furniture expenses with our advanced cleaning processes.
Call for a free estimate at 562-447-4300 and visit us on our website, www.myprotectsite.com.
Hey, this is Joe Perez, owner at ProTech. Just reminding you that ProTech Carpet and Tile Care is your professional choice.
What's wrong?
I can't stop craving a cigarette. I just quit. Hey, what are you smoking on?
Oh, this? Best e-juice on the planet. Burst of flavor, of course.
What's that?
Only the best alternative to smoking with a great flavor. It has a burst of flavor in every puff.
Well, does it have nicotine?
It comes in different levels, including zero. They have 20 flavors and more coming. All the products are made in the U.S. Check them out at www.burstoflavor.com or call them at 855-WE-BURST.
Hey, let's burst together.
It's not just flavor, it's an experience. Cigarettes, you've met your match.
Looking for some swag? Make sure to check out monsterclothing.com. They got everything from V-necks, t-shirts, hoodies, baby dolls. And remember, custom orders are always welcome and much more. They're just not on the site yet. www.monsterclothingco.com or call them at 888-49-MONSTER. 888-49-MONSTER. Hablamos español. Doo-doo-doo!
Live from the Rant Radio Network,
You're listening to Real Estate Rant with your host, Alex Alanis.
and your co-host, Mr. Alonso Rodriguez.
No problems, just solutions for real estate needs, hot topics, and controversial chat.
I have a question.
Yes. Thank you for joining us here at the Real Estate Rant, here at the towers of the Rant Radio Network. I'm your host, Mr. Alex Alanis, and to my left here, Miss Lisa Lombardi, or is it Mrs. Lisa Lombardi? Miss Lisa Lombardi, okay. So I said that right. And joining us in studio today, Mr. Ralph Garcia and Mr. Luis Alcala from Century 21 Realty Masters in Montebello, operations manager and trainer of the agents over there. And we were talking a little bit off on the break about a lawsuit that was going on. I'm not sure if do you want to, can you share that, some of the details of that?
It doesn't matter, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It was some time ago.
Yeah, the agent didn't fill out any of the items that she should have on the transfer disclosure on the third page, and she never gave an SPQ or not an SPQ but an ABID.
The Avid?
Yeah, the Avid. So at the end of the day, I knew we were dead from the start, and we went to a mediation, and the mediation was only for $100,000, and the agent didn't want to accept it, and she ended up paying 3 times that amount.
So that's an example of not having the forms, right? And being caught up in a situation where now you're trying to defend yourself. And like I said before, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
That's right.
Okay, so on that end, that's one side of it. But the other side of it now, even though you have the forms, they don't always protect the agents.
No, they don't. That the one thing that I've started forcing agents to do, although they don't like me for that.
Some of which
you're trying to protect them. You would think that they would understand. You're trying to protect.
I know, but it takes a little more work.
Yeah.
See, and what I usually tell the agents, especially if they don't speak English, if there's something that they're telling you, even if they spoke English, and let's just say the tenant was going to stay beyond the close of escrow, and the buyer wants to close because the loan commitment is going to expire. Well, they tell you, okay, go ahead and close it. Fine, I'll take care of it afterwards. Well, all of that is verbal. So there's nothing you could do to prove it. Just because you say so doesn't mean it's so. So at the end of the day, what you have to do, and what I've been teaching the agents to do, is to get written instructions from the client that say, okay, if you want me to do that, please instruct me in writing and tell me you're going to hold me harmless and indemnify me, just to make sure that if anything goes wrong, it's not my fault because I told you not to do it. So that's the best way of getting it. There's no other get out of jail card that would do that. I'll tell you that right now, and that's what I call it. It's my get out of jail card. but you have to do it every time somebody tells you to do something that could harm them.
Yes, and actually, the reverse would be for a lot of agents is that they like to practice law without a license.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, Lisa, did you have a question?
No, I was going to say to Lewis too is, to the consumers out there, I mean, what would be 3 things that you would tell the consumer when they're looking for a realtor, for an agent?
Okay. Let's just say it's a listing agent, a seller.
Mhm.
Okay. First of all, I want to know how much they know about the contract. Second of all, I want to know how much they know about countering. Okay. And thirdly, now tell me what you know about the marketplace where I'm at. Because those 2 things that are first, I'll tell you, will mean whether the seller keeps their money or doesn't keep their money. And I think that's very important. The agents have to know how to counter. I don't know if you're aware, but they're going to remove the WPA, I think. They haven't finalized or said anything on the new form that's coming out in October.
The new RPA?
The new RPA, yeah. The biggest problem that exists is that they're removing the WPA for a reason that an agent didn't know how to counter, in my opinion. Okay? The mere fact that the broker told the seller that it's customary that they pay Section 1 and the buyer pays Section 2, they ended up with a termite job of $88,000. Okay? $88,000.
Yeah.
Well, the seller flipped out and said, I'm not going to pay it. The broker's going to pay it. Well, they went into a lawsuit. So now they're saying, well, we should remove the WPA so it doesn't become a problem like that again. Well, if the agent, if the listing agent, all he had to do was, if they didn't have a termite report, is stipulate that they reserve the right to accept or reject any work being given from the termite.
Yeah.
And that isn't currently stipulated on the WPA?
Absolutely not. It has to be countered. See, that's what the thing is, that the listing agents, if they don't know how to counter, they don't know how to represent a seller.
Yes.
Challenge accepted.
And I've heard brokers say that you should always counter any offer.
Well, there's things in the contract that have to be countered, and I could give you 2 or 3 right now. I could give you the one that's on Section 6C, which is the FERPTA.
Okay.
Okay. It is the qualified substitute. And what they say is that there may be a qualified substitute, but it doesn't say, yes, there is a qualified substitute.
Yeah.
So you have to clarify, and who do you want as a qualified substitute, which has to be the escrow. So the form, the QS, should be given to escrow. Escrow has to fill it out stipulating that they're the qualified substitute, and therefore the buyer's not going to get the FERPTA. They're only going to get the form, qualified substitute, to understand that their escrow has it. Okay, that's one.
That's one.
The other one is on paragraph 12A, which is the title paragraph. And on the second section or second line of that form, you have the SI, Statement of Information. And it says that within 7 days, the seller has to give a statement of information. Well, nowhere in the contract, nowhere in the forms does it say how long the buyer has to give his SI. What happens if the buyer at the end finds out that they have a child support lien or something? Now you have a bigger problem. But that's why you have to counter that to put it on the same playing field as the seller. Last but not least.
And just let me comment on that real quick. In terms of the SI, I had a situation where I tried to force the escrow to get the seller to perform on delivering the SI because now there was a dispute because of the lot line, and now we wanted to file a lawsuit, but we couldn't find the seller. We couldn't find the seller to serve them
after the fact.
So this is the reason why. Well, it was during. Yeah, it was during. This is the reason why that information is very important.
Yeah.
And that's why it's in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the third one that I would do is on paragraph 29, which is the very last paragraph, where you're supposed to put your name to receive the counter offer. And all you have to stipulate is that you're going to counter that not only does the buyer have the buyer's agent have the right to receive this counter for purposes of time frame, but for all time frames in the contract. So you want them to for the clocks to start ticking every time that the agent receives the forms that are required by the contract.
Yes, yes. Just real quick, let's throw up the answer to the design deal, Mr. Pantalones. We got no phone calls today. The answer to the design deal for today was that is a dog trot house, and I would have never guessed that looking at the Wikipedia.
What?
But that is a dog trot, also known as a breezeway house. It actually has a hallway that goes down the center, and I want to say these types of homes usually are 2 units, believe it or not, but sometimes they're used as one. The majority of these homes were built in the 19th century, early 20th centuries. And let's see, some theories place its origin in the southern Appalachian Mountains. So that's it. Thank you, sir, for that. And so it looks like I don't know, Lisa, you want to use that lazy dog certificate? Or lazy, did I say? Is it lazy boy?
No, it's lazy dog.
I said it right.
Lazy
Okay.
dog.
There we go again. Okay, well, give us a call 855-693-4897, and you can still win a gift card, even though you didn't get the design deal. Mr. Luis Alcala is joining us today, trainer for Realty Masters Century 21, and I have visited some of your classes, sir, and I can say that I did enjoy those classes. Very informative, very intense, because you take a position. It's like, guys, you got to know this stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, at the last meeting that we went to, it kind of sparked a question, if you will. Shouldn't the brokers be interested in the liability? Because it just seems like they're on to the rah-rah. You walk into a room and they give you pom-poms, It's like, well, wait a second.
Yeah, no, it's the Mike Ferry syndrome, okay? and believe me, I like Mike Ferry. I like what he teaches. I believe in a lot of the stuff he says.
So that element's important.
That element is super important.
Yes.
Well, it's a whole different part of real estate.
Yes.
About marketing and prospecting, right?
Yeah, but I think it should be created on the similar level with the knowledge of the forms, because what good does it do for you to make money if you're going to lose it all back and some more?
Absolutely, that's the key.
That's the key.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were talking about earlier about separating the two things. There is the type of information that we want in terms of technical training and contract writing.
Yes.
And then also the information in terms of understanding their terminology. I mean, there's really a whole real estate language.
Sure.
Right? But then there's now a third segment, if you will, of this I call it rah-rah. I mean, what would you call it, Luis?
It's more or less. It's like I said, it's Mike Ferry. It's the Mike Ferry syndrome. Yeah.
I think too. It's just, it's educating agents on prospecting. I mean, you're pretty much as an agent, you're an independent contractor, so you really have to be motivated and it's your own business, so you have to structure it that way.
Yes.
And learning how to prospect and time management. Am I correct?
That's
Louis?
terribly sexy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. I did bring Ralph in today. Mr. Ralph, you have any questions?
Is Mike Ferry a broker?
He's actually an individual that sells you packages of information that you throw in your trunk and never read or look at. Luis is laughing about that.
I thought my jokes were bad.
Some kind of truth behind that a little bit, but for the most part, it's they teach you the rah-rah in real estate. In other words, the motivational tools that one would get to get yourself up in the morning and not be the guy that's sitting there for 3 hours. You know what I mean?
Hey,
what advice would you have for Luis? We're up on time, but what advice would you have for Ralph? I'm sorry, coming in as a new agent.
As a new agent, I'm going to tell you, learn everything. How's that?
We're trying.
Because
Trying.
the truth is not just it's the learning of the rah-rah. You got to learn it because you do have to produce.
Sure.
So
yes. Well, thank you for joining us, Luis. Hope to have you again up on the Real Estate Rant.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to Real Estate Rant
Thank
Radio.
you.
Make sure to join us every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on the Rant Radio Network, where we talk about solutions to your real estate problems. The views and opinions expressed by the host or any guest on this show are encouraged to be followed up by a professional tax advisor or attorney, as we are not qualified or authorized to give advice in two areas: legal matters and tax matters.